What's going on, guys? It is Friday, so we're going to do a little bit more ponderous, big thinky a breakdown bite today. We're going to talk about something that I think is going to be a major theme of discussion going forward that you're going to see lots and lots more of. And let's start with this exchange from last night. G Money, who's obviously a huge NFT guy, says, what if the killer app of crypto wasn't magic internet money or overpriced JPEGs, but rather a way to verify what's real and what's psyops in the upcoming battle against our AI overlords. Now, obviously, G Money's being at least a little tongue-in-cheek here, although I think he's pretty serious. But I actually think that this is a major phase shift in how people think about the value of the crypto industry and how these two things intersect. So I responded, market within 12 months, a meaningful percentage, 20% plus, and I think it'll probably be higher than that, of people involved in the crypto industry will have come to this conclusion. By that, I mean the conclusion that the most important aspect of the crypto industry is cryptographic truth as an alternative to assuming that everything is fake all the time. All right, so to give a sense of how you could get to this conclusion, we have to talk a little bit about just this absolute sea change in the experience that we're having with AI. I have never seen in my entire life of watching and creating content around technology such a clear inflection point moment as we've had around AI in the last 6 months. I remember at the end of last year, there was a week in which ChatGPT was released to the public and people started to get their hands on that. And at the same time, this Lensa app was being used by everyone on Facebook to generate AI versions of their own profile pictures. And these two things converged into this massive recognition that all of a sudden, the world that we were living in, this AI world that had been brewing forever, was here, and it was here in a huge way, and it was going to disrupt everything. Now, there's a famous theory that I'm super interested in, or that I've always been really fascinated by, from evolutionary biologist Stephen Jay Gould. It was called punctuated equilibrium. And what the argument was is that evolution isn't some steady line up the way that we tend to think of it, just linear, add a little, add a little, add a little, grow on. It is in fact a pattern in which there are long periods of dormant change, things going on below the surface, let's say, that are punctuated, and this is why punctuated equilibrium is the name, by these massive changes that happen in a very short period of time and get us to the next plateau where we operate for a little while. And Stephen Jay Gould traced that through the fossil record, through the history of biology. But I think that you're seeing something with AI that's very similar. This is a punctuated equilibrium moment. And if you've spent any time on the internet, you've seen just how transformative some of these technologies are. Obviously, you have ChatGPT out there starting businesses, where people are giving it the command to create the most lucrative business it can from the ground up and then following the instructions and actually making money. You also have, on the other side, Midjourney and things like it, where you're creating these incredible images that just reimagine the world. And there's huge magic here, right? This is a thread of historical selfies: Napoleon and troops at Waterloo, Neanderthals during the Stone Age, Queen Elizabeth in the late 1500s, Cleopatra around 50 BC. I actually did one of these a couple weeks ago as well. That was Shakespeare in the Globe with a selfie stick. So on the one hand, this is all, magical and novel and interesting. And obviously the text to image is just the beginning. There's so many things out there happening. But even at this very nascent stage, there are real challenges. So recently, Midjourney killed off free access to its generator. It's now only paid because of this explosion of deep fakes. So there are a couple, and they range from funny but harmless to more challenging. So you see here the Pope in a puffer jacket. This was a huge theme. It blew up. I actually used a picture of Elizabeth Warren in a puffer jacket a couple days later in image art for the show. But then you also have Trump being arrested, right? And you got people like Greg from Twitter getting text messages from his mom saying, did you see Trump was getting arrested? And people saying, you know what, you're really going to have conversations about AI with the people that you know. So you have this set of things going on where on the one hand, people are waking up to the possibilities, but on the other hand, they are seeing that there are going to be serious challenges in terms of what's real and what's not. And in fact, we're likely moving to a world in which we have to assume by default that the things we're seeing are not real. Now, and this is just the first layer of the challenge that AI represents, because on top of this sense of unrealness of photos and the things that we see, there's also chances that actual adversarial AI will create false trails of information in the world. ChatGPT often comes up with results that are just not true or fake or fabricated. And right now, it's not a huge problem because it's just predicated on people understanding that that's not right. But these technologies can be weaponized and deployed differently. And I don't think you have to be against the technology to understand that this is part of the reality set. Balaji has been talking a lot about this, of course. He wrote on March 29th, software was eating the world. Now AI has eaten software. And he makes this really interesting point. He says, after AI has eaten everything digital, I think there are only three things left that are scarce: community, cryptography, commodity. Community, AI can't create physical people. Cryptography, AI can't fake digital signatures. Commodity, AI can't make oil and natural resources. Now, Chris Barrett, who's been in communications with Chainlink forever, writes and responds, cryptographic truth is a crucial cornerstone in a world dominated by AI. As AI continues to evolve, the importance of trust in cryptography only grows stronger, creating a solid foundation for our interconnected future. This is where this conversational jumping off point is happening. This idea of not being able to create fake digital signatures and meaning that cryptographic truth might be a counterweight to AI when it comes to proving things out in the future. Other people in crypto are talking about this as well. Ryan Selkis from Masari writes, crypto is the truth ledger for the AI era. It will be critical defense infrastructure in the war against deepfakes and misinformation. Now, the challenge, of course, is that I don't think our political systems are at all ready to handle any of this, but that is just sort of part of the hand that we've been dealt as it relates to these phenomenon in society today. I will leave you with one last note, because obviously this is sort of just in the realm of speculation, but this comes from Checkmatey from Glassnode, and I thought it was a great, really interesting little thought provoker. He writes, a wild concept someone said in a conversation the other day. Eventually, sentient AI will recognize that Bitcoin is the only asset that it can own without counterparty risk. Holding Bitcoin will then become an essential requirement for its continued existence. Wild concept. I think even before you walk all the way down the chain of agreeing with that sentiment, it's not hard to see how these technologies are convergent and are part of a very different fabric of the world than the one we've been living in. Anyways, guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg of a conversation that I'm going to be having a lot more here. Keep tuned for more information about that, but something to ponder for your Friday. Appreciate you guys listening and watching as always. Peace.